And here we are. We're live. Thank you so much for joining in with us for the Quarantini Hour. This is Cherie Hughes.
I'm reversed.
And as many of you guys know, I was planning on having Chad Schaefer, my broker, to join us today. And unfortunately, he's under the weather. So, Chad, we hope you get better. But we're still going to keep it rolling because real estate is the one constant that we always have. So what I thought would be really cool would be to introduce two of my favorite guys to talk about something that they really like to do. So, which is to learn about
craft beer.
And so
that's right.
I have my husband here, Bob. Say
hello.
And then my brother-in-law, Rod.
Hello.
I'm still getting used to this video thing, guys.
Yeah, that side or this
way. Whichever way is the easiest. And we're going to talk a little bit about craft beers. So, just so that you guys know, before we moved to Gainesville, I had no idea that American beer was so sophisticated. Or should I say, I got to do with this hand. Sophisticated. It is a truly, truly sophisticated endeavor to learn about craft beers and everything that it has. And I have the opportunity at least once or twice a year to kind of hang out with you guys and learn a little bit more and more each time about craft beers. So I am not a beer drinker, but if I find something good, I'll drink it. So I'm going to let you guys go ahead and take over. Oh, and by the way, this is the Quarantini Hour. So not only are we going to be talking beers, but I might just throw some questions in there, like your first question. So I'm going to let Bob answer first. What is your Rona superpower?
My Rona superpower is probably becoming a teacher and homeschooling the kids.
Oof. Okay. That is a superpower. And I'm going to say pay raises for all teachers and administrators. So, yeah, that is an important job. Up there with doctors and nurses at this time, right? So
inside the house it is.
Inside the house it is. Yep. So he's the guy who keeps it rolling in my household. He keeps it rolling. So how about you, Rod? What do you think?
Oh, mine, the only thing that's changed a lot is just my exercise pattern, that I can't go to the gym anymore, and I hadn't really run outdoors much in many, many, many years / decades. But now I do 3 times a week, so I'm out there.
So you're actually outside then?
Yeah, that's my outside time. I'm allowed out of the house occasionally.
Well, and to let everybody know, we actually live like, why don't I know he's outside all the time? We live like a couple of blocks away from each other.
About 0.55 miles on my route.
Right.
Half a mile.
It's a half a mile. So shame on me, because clearly I'm not doing the same thing you guys are doing, right?
We've seen you a couple times out there when we run by,
That's true. I thought it was an anomaly, like me outside, So why don't you guys get started? It would be awesome to see some of the things that you have to say about the craft beers and everything. So like one of the things that I just don't understand about craft beers is this. What the heck is a craft beer? And like, why is a Bud Light not a craft beer? I think I might know the answer to this question though, right?
Well, craft beers are usually made by small independent brewers. They're not made from mega corporations like Budweiser, Coors, Miller.
So
they're small operations based kind of on volume. Sam Adams was one of the first. They started out small, but they've come big to where they're almost, you could say they're a large commercial venture now.
So where do you find your craft brews?
Publix and stuff now carries a somewhat of a selection, but you can go to somewhere like a bottle shop like Tipples over on 75th Street and Southwest 24th, and they have like 800-900 different types of beer.
So I've been to Tipples before. It's a really small place. So you mean to tell me they have over 7,700?
It's like 700 to 800.
They can have a lot of beers there, yeah.
Wow.
But the nice thing about a place like that is the people there too, that they can help you learn and give you good recommendations, something you won't get at Publix.
Yeah, Jeff and Mike and Jake, they learn to know you. They know what you like. They know how everything tastes. They can tell you certain styles, the brewers. They also sell wine if you like wine, and they're very good with wine.
Wow.
Too.
That's really cool. And actually it's so funny you say that, because every time I go in, they're like, oh, you won't like that. And I'm like, don't tell me what I won't like. And then they're right, or they give me a taste of it and like, see for yourself.
It's small enough they know you.
Right.
Big enough you're always meeting new people when you go in there. Though there are some regulars that float through.
That is so cool. That is so cool. Well, listen, I'm going to let you guys go ahead and tell me. So why? Oh, do they put? So hold on. I think I got a comment coming in, and I'll tell you in a second. I think it's from my girl Serena, and she said, "Do they put ice and straws in their wine?" So that's an ongoing joke with me in the Quarantini Hour, because I love ice, and so I put ice in everything. So I was really bummed to figure out.
If it's in wine, that's okay, because who cares? But beer, no.
She has violated that rule before.
I've violated that rule.
We will go over one of the beers she violates with.
That is so true. That is so true. So Serena, yes, they do. No, they don't put ice and straw.
Exception for the straw when you're tailgating and walking to get food and want to hide it. But
there you go.
But there no ice still. No ice.
I love it. So go ahead, tell us a little bit more.
So I was going to start from the range of beers, from the lighter beers and ales to the heavyweights, which means they're just thicker, darker. So this is a Berliner Weiss from Swamphead,
which is a local brewery here in Gainesville, Florida.
It's called The Force Will Be With You, and it's a Berliner style Weiss.
And do they carry this in tipples? Like, so how is Tipples able to carry like 800 beers at one time? Do they like cycle through beers? Is that what happens?
They do. They'll get a certain set of things in, and the same brewers will cycle through different styles.
So Rod, what is a Berliner Weisse? So Berliner Weisse, I actually am very familiar with because I lived in Germany, of course. So yeah.
Yep, it's a sour tart beer, I think. If I remember right, I think there's wheat, isn't there? Isn't that the Weiss?
A little bit of wheat, but it's a very light ale.
Yeah.
Easy to drink. They will sometimes add fruit. This one has blueberry and Aussie in it.
What's Aussie?
It's a type of Asian
however you
fruit.
Pronounce that berry, ACAI.
ACAI.
I've never been sure how you say it.
Acai, isn't that acai?
Acai, maybe that's how you pronounce it.
It could be.
Antioxidants, good for you.
Come on, help me, people.
But this will be a really light summer, easy to drink beer. This style you can find at Tipples. There'll be some that are more like a lemonade flavor, some with more like an orange flavor. They're very easy.
Yeah.
Schaffenhofer, I think, is one. They're very easy to drink. This would be on like the lightest end. They're lower alcohol. And then the next set that's very popular is pale ales, which really is an India pale ale. They call them IPAs. They tend to be light and crisp, but they're more bitter. This is a India pale ale from Evil Twin. My wife loves this one, key lime pie. It actually has key lime and graham crackers added. It's unfiltered, so it's a little hazy. And she loves to put this one on ice.
So yes,
I don't
Serena.
know why, but she puts it on ice.
We pay $5 a can for your wife to put it on ice. Yes, we do.
It's like lemonade.
It's like lemonade.
IPAs tend to be a little more hoppy. They can be more fruity depending on the hop. If they have something like Citra stuff, they can be unfiltered, hazy, clear.
Yeah, you get those styles. You get your West Coast ones that tend to be the more bittery and New England style or hazy ones have gotten real popular lately. Those are my favorites, which are often very juicy, have almost a cloud-like feel sometimes in your mouth. Those I like those a lot better.
They're really refreshing in the summer. This is another one from Swamphead, their Star Wars series, Rebel Scrum. It's a New England style. They're a little less bitter, a little less of the hop taste to them. They're still hoppy, but it's just toned down from West Coast.
When you say hop taste, so this is what I like about you guys, is like going on a tasting with you guys is like, there's nothing else like it. To hear them talk about their beers is so cool. So like when you say hoppy, what does hoppy mean? Because for those of us who may not know a lot about hops, like what does that mean?
IPAs are different because they use more hops than most beers do, and you'll get more. They add a bittery element to them. It can be more of a floral or almost piney with something like Simcoe and stuff.
They can, yeah. You can get floral, piney, fruity, tropical, citrusy with like citra hops. The IPAs just tend to have more, you get a lot more of those hops, less on the malty side, where other beers we'll get to later, you don't have much hops.
So listen, guys, I got to share this with you. Dave McKenzie, your buddy from Texas, right?
Brown-eyed pickle boy, how you doing?
Dave McKenzie has made a comment, and he said something about Mosaic.
Mosaic hops are good.
Yes. There's a brand called Tool out there that makes a Sir series where it's a pale ale, and every one in the series is made with only one type of hop. You can get the Sir Citra, taste the Citra hops, Sir Simcoe, taste Simcoe, Sir Mosaic. You only taste Mosaic, and gives you the series is really neat because you get to taste that one type of hop.
So listen, guys, I love this conversation, and I love to hear you guys talk beer because it is so cool. And it like makes your mouth water. And like sometimes we'll talk about beer and I'm like, I gotta try it. And then I try it and I'm like, oh, because I'm not a beer drinker, right? But I love that since moving here, we've had the opportunity to kind of just tap into another kind of culture and group. Oh boy, he's going to die.
Yes, the dog is now mad. Nobody's paying attention.
He's going to die.
I think he's got something to say about beer.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Actually, he hears your voice. So my dog Bruno loves Uncle Rod. Did I do it right?
Yes, Uncle Rod.
Uncle Rod. No, Uncle Rod is that way.
Yep. Do the opposite of where it looks like it is.
He is that way.
And really, we haven't drunken anything today. So, but Uncle Rod is like Bruno's favorite. And so when he hears Rod, he thinks it's time to play. So, Rod, I want to, since moving to Gainesville, one of the things that we've had the opportunity to do that we didn't have to do when we lived in the DC area is to like take time out to kind of enjoy and go to a place that, like Tipples, brewer.
It's a bottle shop.
A bottle shop, and just get to know the people there. And it's been really, really fun. Even like I said, I'm not a beer drinker. They have wine, they have ports, and they have a couple of different. They had a sake event, and they hold beer tastings and things like that for idiots like me who don't know how things taste.
And it's great that it's probably less than 2 miles from us.
that and it also helps. I just want to give props out to my sister-in-law because we never drink and drive. Our Rod's wife, Lourdes, who always picks us up. She's never not picked us up.
Her job's to do the Christmas beer tasting.
Yeah.
We go to a Christmas party and try 12 different pretty heavyweight beers. And then
she gets us home.
Takes us home.
And she gets us home. So like mad props to Lourdes because she is always there to be the designated driver. And
the beer tastings are an interesting way to learn different styles and beers too.
That's true. And it's fun. I mean, it's amazingly fun. You walk in the room not knowing anyone and you leave and you you have the opportunity to meet new people, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, so I've been talking to people about what time is a good time to buy a home, whether or not Rona is stopping people from buying homes. And Serena, who actually was on the program a while ago, she talked about she's going to be a new homeowner soon. And so she talked about, her process of going and getting a home. What in the world were either of you thinking when you thought, let's build a new home and let's build it in a different state? Gainesville, because you guys are originally from Ohio. And I know that my in-laws, your parents moved here, but what made you want to try your hand at a new home as opposed to an existing home?
With me, it was just we looked around. We looked at the existing ones first. And saw some that were okay, but couldn't quite find what we liked until she saw this model home in the neighborhood we live in now, and was like, this is what I like. And wow. So we built from that model with a few tweaks, but.
Right. How was it to relocate from the DC area? Because you guys we came from Maryland, you guys came from Virginia. How was it to relocate down here? How was it for you, knowing that you were going to relocate into a new home?
That was challenging because we were hoping it would be done before school started, but it was a little bit after. It wasn't until September. So we had a little bit of time. We had to get an apartment first, and then the house was ready and moving in, but our house in Virginia wasn't sold yet. So there was some back and forth. I made about 5 or 6 trips driving back or forth, would bring some stuff each time, but
right.
Eventually it worked out.
Yeah, it always does in the end, but sometimes it also depends on what realtors you use. Oh my God, I'm doing a plug for myself. Okay, anyway.
The weather was better down here because we both work at home and had the opportunity to work at home, which everybody's doing now. No more traffic, commutes. This area was much cheaper for a house from the DC area. When you buy a house, you can get it the colors you want, the way you want.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So as we talk about this, so Bob made the mistake of opening up your thing. And so
this is
not a mistake.
A Nitro New Belgium cold brew. It's with coffee. It's an ale with coffee. So it's probably a fairly normal ale, but they've added coffee.
So Rod, I'm going to act like this is yours, right?
I'll be over in a few minutes. It will be mine.
Right. So you're not supposed to drink before you cheers. That's bad luck.
Cheers.
Cheers. So
next thing you know, we'll have a pandemic, Bob. Thanks.
Thanks, Bob. So why did you choose this one for us to try? It's a cream ale.
It was kind of a middle of the road basic ale. This one happens to have coffee. You'll have ales with different things, but it's starting to get a little heavier than the IPAs and pale ales, less bitter. It's going to have more malts and wheat in it.
And the nitro is interesting. Some beers have those. It's not real common, but it gives beers a very creamy mouthfeel, but sometimes mellows the flavors as well. You sometimes get a little less flavor from it, actually, even though it's very creamy.
Flavor with the nitro, but you get a smoothness with it that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So Dave McKenzie said, "This is just cruel. I can't talk. You can't see me, and I can't share the beer."
It's working.
Just crack something open, Dave.
It's the Quarantini Hour.
Take I-20 to I-10, and you know how to get here.
Yeah, we drove with you from Dallas several times. Come on.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yes, we did.
Well, I love the idea of having, because you guys have lived. You guys both came from Ohio, then when this is the funniest thing, when Bob graduated from college and he got his first job, his parents packed up their home and moved to Florida. Okay, I wish the part of the story that was hilarious was that they didn't tell him where they were moving, but they did. That would have been pretty funny. But they moved to Florida. And then I guess, Rod, you came down with the family to Florida to finish out before you started. And you're actually a UF grad, so you are a true Gator. So
yeah. Yep.
But what's really cool is that you guys have also, when you started your professional life, you went to Dallas at first, right?
Yep.
And so Bob was in the defense sector, and then he went to Nortel, and you went to Nortel, and then you went and joined a gaming company in California, correct?
For a little while, yep.
Yeah, before you joined back with Bob in DC at Broadsaw.
Well, first back in Dallas for a couple months. That was real short, though.
Was it really?
then we went up to DC.
But so all of these adventures that you guys have had, you've brought people along with you, like Dave McKenzie, who you guys met. Although you met in Dallas, doesn't he have friends in Florida or something? Or he has family?
Well, he went to UF. He was in the same graduating class as me, but we didn't really know each other in college. We had some common friends, like Scott Alden, we both know. We were both friends with him in college, but we just didn't know each other very much until, we got to Dallas and then really became friends.
Dave, I didn't realize I should have known that you were Gator. So yay. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I love how the paths cross and how that happens. But and so like the craft beers are, and I told it, he said, this is just horrible. And I said, I will be your voice. I think I scared him because he hasn't said another word to me since then. He's like, you're going to be my voice, girl? Think of it like the movie Ghost, remember, with Whoopi Goldberg.
We're not doing the clay pot, right?
You're not doing the clay pot.
Good.
You're like, whoa, what's going on here? You said I'm laughing my head off over here. So listen, we talked a little bit about, I want to take a drink of this beer because it's cold. Can we take a drink?
Yes.
Okay, cheers. You're supposed. Oh, he already took his drink. That's why.
I should have got myself something. Dang it.
Yeah,
I know. So first of all, I do have to say once again, thank you for stepping in on this because this is cool. But so you needed to get your own beer thing because Rod, it is so much fun to watch you and Bob taste beer at the same time because it is like exquisite. They like roll it on their tongue. They do a little, and they talk about the nodes and the fruity tones and the
roastiness, and coffee or chocolate malts coming out.
Exactly. And I'm like, I taste beer. That's all I got. Right? But it's so cool to see you guys. And it's so cool when someone truly, really enjoys what they're doing and how they do it. It totally makes a difference, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the things I can do is I can actually patch Dave McKenzie in here if he wants me to. I can send him an invite to this conversation if you would like. But you guys think about that as we go on. So Dave, if you want to be a part of this conversation, let me know.
Here's another style of beer. They're called sours. This is a Sorrento Nocturna from Crooked Stave. They're known for their sours.
Yum.
Mostly they'll be fruited, a sour that's fruited. They're good for the summer, but they're going to be not bitter like an IPA. They'll be more sour. This one's a mixed fermentation Belgian ale. So it's a Belgian style ale, but it's a little bit sour. And it's been fermented at different ages, and they've mixed it together. It's very good. The blueberry version of this is unbelievable. So really, guys, I have to tell you that because Germany is like my place, and Berliner Weisses were like so cool to me. Like when I was there, it was like something that was fruity, refreshing, very nice, but it still had a little bit of sour to it, right?
Or are the Berliner Weisses that have the sour?
Yeah, they're sour.
They are sour, right?
Sour.
And
but it's mild compared to like a
yeah,
real sour.
but like with anything, like with us Americans, everything is better and bigger in America. And the American craft beer sour scene is so off the charts right now.
They've exploded the number of sours out there now.
And I can almost not even
Isn't it Jester King down in Dave's area, down in Texas? Jester King makes a bunch of great sours at Farmhouse.
Yeah.
Ales.
So Dave didn't like my threat of patching him in. So he said next time. So we'll hold you to that, man. So, but tell me a little bit more about, like, how long did it take you to do the custom build
of our house?
Mm-hmm.
Man, when? I'm even trying to remember how long it was.
We started like May of
November
2012. I think with that, I guess it was.
They broke ground for us November, and we finished in July.
Right, but we started the design or thinking about what to pick the house like May in 2012. Mm-hmm. We broke ground in October. Once everything was set up, got the right lot and everything, they could start. And we were done by July 2013.
So do you guys have anything that you'd like for people to know in terms of, like, what are the top three things you should think about if you're considering a new build? And while we do that, I'm going to take another drink, and Bob is going to show us the next beer. So I want you to think about that. What are the top three things that you need to know in terms of building a new home?
This one is a Flemish style sour ale from Europe, Belgium. They tend to be red. This one was surprisingly sweet, less sour. They also make a chocolate cherry version of it that's unbelievably good. But there's other, like Rodenbach makes a nice Flemish red. They'll be sour and they'll be red. Sometimes a little vinegary, sometimes almost a little chalky a bit.
And so there's a lot of these beers that we have. So we kind of talked about like the Tipples Christmas tasting, and they have like different tastings for like barrel aged things. I think they had a tasting for sours. This is why I love
sours and gozes.
Yeah. Now, and actually it's funny because years ago, Rod, because we went to like the beer festival in Gainesville, and I was like, Rod, I'm a sours person. And we stood in line for every goes, for every kind of sour opportunity we could do. But then I found out, I was like, sours, meh. Right? So it's so interesting, the evolution that happens, I think.
That's probably when you started sharing my porters and stouts with you. Now I get half of one instead of a full
influence. Bad influence.
I liked it better when you didn't like the stouts and porters.
Yeah, whatevs. So Rod, tell us what some of your favorite, because you like this genre of gozes and sours.
Yeah, most of them. There's a lot of different styles there. Even with the gozes, I didn't like them at first, and then they've grown on me a lot more now. The difference between them and most of the sours is they are brewed with salt. That's just one of the things they're known for, of having some salt. Some of them you really taste it, and I don't like that. I don't want to drink salt water. But others just have a hint, and then they're good,
Yeah, I agree with you there.
First Magnitude, their saltwater intrusion, the fruit series of them, papaya and guava and stuff, they've been quite good.
Oh, that's interesting. We should probably check that out. And that's why I like stores like Tipples, because they can give you a whole range of things. And I love the guys in there, because all you have to do is tell them what genre you're interested in. And apparently there's a couple of sommeliers, right? So is Jeff a sommelier?
Jeff and Mike
Mike are sommeliers. Okay. So you can even get, you can pair your wine with them as much as possible. And I can't tell you guys enough how amazing it is to support local businesses at this time, because they definitely need our help. But so the question was, top 3 things that you would like folks to know when buying, or not just buying a home, but when building a new home. And I'm going to bring this closer in so that I can type.
I would say have your wife approve of the laundry room. Make sure it's big enough for her.
That's a good one.
Always put more outlets in the garage. You can always have use for them. Make sure they're on all the walls, between the windows and the walls, so you always have one available. If you have rooms that you're thinking of being a den, or you're going to have a desk in them for a kid, right now they're putting Ethernet jacks in a lot of the rooms. Make sure it's going to be where the desk is going to be, or put it on multiple walls in that room so you can move things around and you're not having cables run across things because you want an Ethernet jack there.
Wow.
That's the 3 I can think of.
Those were specific, weren't they?
Yeah.
Wow. What do you have to add to that,
think? I mean, ours, luckily the builder we used, there was kind of a design studio that helped, but I know the colors and furnishings, ceiling fans and lighting and stuff, that was a whole new kind of world for me. I knew we were going to get there, but I never really thought about it until it was right in front of us. And I'm like, I don't know what I want.
When it's in front of
So ours was tile. We entered a world of tile that we can never get that time back, right?
Well, I basically looked at lunch every day for about 2 months. I found a tile I really liked.
So it was so bad that Harper was like not yet 1 year old, or maybe she was 1 year old, but every Saturday she would go, "We're going to the tile store," right? And she wouldn't say all those words, but she was like, "Stores?"
Rory did. Rory, like, I'm done with tile stores.
He was done. We visited everywhere. And then finally it was great because we also sourced out some tile in some weird places. So I ended up going to a loading dock in the depths of Northern Virginia, where I was supposed to find this guy named Gary. And Gary was the guy who had our order for the tiles. And I swear to you, I was like praying the whole time that no one was going to abduct me. It was like the weirdest thing ever. And we have some beautiful tile in our house as a result of it. But it was like he found something dirt cheap, and and we kind of sourced it out. So I don't know, but I think we were having fun with that, like trying to find.
We did more than the kids. But
I think so.
Maybe not by the end of the 2 months, but yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Samples. You look at the samples, like, nah, that's not like the picture. That's not what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure we drove our builder crazy with that too. So, so Rod, what else do you have to add to that?
I would say I would think about, the efficiency of your home in your long term, how long you're going to stay in there. We did put in high efficiency HVAC systems and put in icing foam in the roof deck there, which was expensive up front, but it's more than paid for itself now in the energy costs. So it's, look at those kinds of things. If you're going to stay there long enough, spend the extra. It'll be worth it.
Years or more, the extra is worth it at that point.
Especially in Florida. It's hot.
Mm-hmm. Icing in my house doesn't get it above 83 with the AC off. I mean, that's the top end.
And it's actually really comfortable. The only time it's not comfortable is it's kind of at night, like in our room. It's a little, because it's the room that's less used. The side of the house is less used, so it gets a chance to gather up all the sun during the day, but no problem with cooling off. So yeah, and I agree with that. So back to beer, because that's why we're here, right?
Well, the next thing I had was a Baltic Porter from Duck Rabbit.
Yum.
They're great. They brew all sorts of ales and stouts and stuff. A porter, just think of it as a lighter stout. It's a darker ale. It'll be a little more roasty. chocolate, coffee malts, maybe some caramel, not as sweet as anything. And a Baltic porter means it's just double the alcohol that a regular porter would be. So they call it a Baltic
stronger
porter.
and even leaning more, almost a little more towards a stout. It's getting really robust usually.
Or an imperial stout. The Russian imperial stout is more bitter. They call that this is a kind of a cousin to this. This is a Baltic porter. That's called a Russian imperial stout.
Yep.
So they'll be very roasty stuff. But there's a brand called Prairie. Dave might know them because they're up in Oklahoma. I advise you to drive up in a car and get a case of this. Prairie Vanilla Noir. They make all sorts of stouts. The stouts will be a little thicker. This is an imperial stout, so it's like 10, 11%. Some can have
maybe
cocoa
more
nibs, coffee, vanilla beans, been aged on vanilla beans. Some are bourbon barrel aged, which adds a different hint. They will actually add chilies to some of theirs, which gives it a kick. It's got like coffee, cocoa, vanilla, chilies. It's got everything in there. Just explodes in your mouth.
Did you say chilies?
Yes.
Yep. Maybe some cinnamon too. I forget. Maybe that's the Christmas one.
They make a whole series of stouts.
The bomb, Prairie Bomb, Christmas Bomb.
Birthday bomb.
Oh, Prairie Bomb
Pirate
Christmas.
bomb.
That's those are some really cool ones as well. I liked actually the Baltic porter that he showed. He shared that with me earlier this week. Like, poor guy can never drink.
They also make a Rabid Rabbit, which is their Russian imperial stout, which is very good.
Is it heavy? Like, so when I thought of beer, like dark beer was always really heavy. But for example, if you look at this, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually not.
It's a cream ale with coffee.
It's a cream ale with coffee. Okay.
That's what makes it darker.
Yeah, but it's,
some stouts aren't like Guinness is very thick, almost chalky.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stouts are not as thick as that. They may be darker than that.
There's a whole range. Yeah, you can get some like regular milk stouts or something, just the not the imperial ones, but regular. They're very
lactose was another thing that can smooth things out, take some bitterness away.
Liquidy, not heavy. And there's others that you pour and it looks like it's coming out of an oil can. It's just thick and rich. Those are my favorite. But
wow. Old engine, right? That beer.
Yeah.
So listen, guys, we're coming up to the time that we gotta skedaddle. But I want to thank you guys for talking craft beer with us during the Quarantini Hour. I just have a couple of things. I have 3 things that I want to tell people about. If you are considering a new build, make sure you understand your true budget. Because when you do a new build, you always have the incidentals at the end. So
I want to make this change. Let's upgrade this.
Start a little below where you want to
start a little below, and understand that a lot of the fluffy things that they show you in order to get you in there, you can live without. Now, you can still get the home that you want with the look that you want, but you can kind of live without some of those fluffy things. You can't live without an architecture that doesn't work for you, but you can live without extra fluff on a wall or something. I don't know. But you know what I'm saying.
And I'd still get it home inspected because there are things that you will just miss. The experienced home inspector will go, that's not right. You need to get that fixed right away. A lot of things will look okay. Then there'll be some small things that you don't know about that
kind of present itself. Right. But that's also with existing homes as well. And that's why we always tell people to get home inspections.
But people don't think about that new build.
They think it's perfect. Oh my God. I can't tell you how many times I thought I was moving into like a perfect home, right? You're like, oh my God, it's going to be perfect. And, it's not perfect. It's
almost perfect.
It is perfect.
But there's be a few things.
It is perfect, but you know a lot more about the home than, for example, an already existing home.
You don't find know things out about it.
Exactly. So, and then finally, one of the things that I would say is that you can always still use a realtor on the buy side. And so if you have a favorite realtor that you want to bring into the process, they're going to actually have that price for the buyer side anyway embedded in your price. And so why not have someone who's there for you? And there's ways that you can look for realtors that that will kind of walk with you through the process, right? But I love the things that you've given us so far, guys. So make sure your plans are wife approved. I did not tell him to say that. It's like,
it's been beaten into him by now.
Right?
Yeah, it's basically.
But make sure your plans are wife approved.
Do not go off reservation.
Do not go off of reservation in terms of your budget. But also realize that there are incidentals that might happen at the end. So for your build, Rod, I do remember that you were at the end of your build and you found out that you had to pay for sidewalks, for example. So that was another extra $5,000, $2,500, whatever it was that you had that you were responsible for. And so trying to understand those things, and whatever builder you have, making sure that they're transparent about some of those added and hidden costs is really going to be important. And sometimes all it takes is a question like, what is my real bottom line? Because I have this hard stop for a budget that I need to make sure that we keep to. And so understanding what your budget is, understanding, where you want to go, where you want to be located, but also understanding that, sometimes you don't need the fancy schmancy things. Depending on your builder might be able to do something that is normal for them, but is still a higher quality for other people. So understanding that, but also the most important thing, I think, is making sure whatever company you choose, that their follow-up record is good. So that when those things go wrong, or when something does, when your perfect home is not quite so perfect, that you have the opportunity to go back and forth to them. And I think that that's important, but also more outlets in areas that you need it. So more outlets, more, what did you call it? Ethernet?
Internet connections. In the dens you're going to use. In a lot of different places, because who would have thought, right, Rod? Like years ago when we moved in, we never thought we would be using streaming or we'd be using the internet so much. And so, especially now with everybody connected to everything all the time inside the house.
Our kids are older.
Yes.
And so now we have this that we do.
It's amazing how much bandwidth a preteen to elementary school student can burn up.
Yes. And so it's important that we figure out how we can handle all of those things. So, and then finally, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? That's what you say, right?
Yes. Okay. That's how they build the house.
That's how, I guess pun intended.
Yeah.
But what's really important to understand is how to make sure that whatever your intention is, consider the why, consider the how much, but consider the how long. And Rod, you bring up that really good point of, spend your extra money on your infrastructure of your house, energy efficient things like icing and especially in Florida where it can be really, really cool. I see a lot of people now in the neighborhood, they have solar panels for their pools and stuff. So that's really cool.
Heat pumps are good down here because it doesn't get that cold. So if you get a dual fuel system, that will save you money too.
Exactly. And also understand where you're moving in Florida, because sometimes you might need, instead of the solar panels, you might need a generator, depending on how often your power goes out, So those things are really good. Listen, Rod, I wish you could join us.
Me too.
Lots of things need to be trying.
But cheers to you. Thank you for being such a great sport and hanging out with us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
This is almost like being at Tipple. No. It's not. Okay, the interesting people part is really like being at Tipple's, but probably.
I'm missing the 800 friends in the cooler behind me.
Oh, the 800 friends in the cooler. Yes, of course.
Fingers crossed on Christmas tasting.
Yes.
We all stay healthy so we can get back to normal.
So we can all get back to normal. So with that said, this is Cherie Hughes, signing off from the Quarantini Hour with Bob and Rod Hughes.
I'll figure out which hand it is. Yeah.
That's that one.
We're so messy here. But Bob and Rod Hughes just talking to us a little bit about beer and new construction and how they like to shop local. So Tipples seems to be a wonderful neighborhood place, but it's also a place where you can find some rare finds for beer and spirits. And so I guess spirits means something else.
Yeah, beer and wine.
Beer and wine.
Spirits would be.
And root beer for Rory.
And root.
They have craft soda.
They have craft soda. And the kids do love it. Yeah. So some of those, yeah. But anyway, so it's really cool. And we look forward to getting back to a little bit of a semblance of normal. But in the meantime, we're socially isolating ourselves or socially distancing ourselves. And we just want to say thank you to all those people on the front lines who are holding it up for us. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
And next time we're going to add Dave McKenzie. Bye.
Bye.
So that